Hello, I feel like it's been a while since I've sat down and made a video, but today we're doing my favorite thing ever, which is arts and crafts. I posted this little felt wallet on Instagram the other day and you guys really liked it. I thought it would be fun to show you how I made it, and by the end of this video, we're gonna match and it's gonna be really cool. For materials, you're going to need tacky glue, some felt squares, I got mine from Michael's, also an embroidery needle and embroidery thread. The first thing you're going to do is cut out your felt pieces to these dimensions that are on the screen. These two are going to be the back pieces, middle, and then front. That's how I'll refer to them in the video. First, we're going to work on this front piece, so set everything else aside, and we're going to add on a design. So what you're going to do is cut out all the little shapes that you want. Here I'm cutting out a whale shark, but you could really do anything. The possibilities are endless. The heart and the star are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll show you how I did the swirl. I cut out a square. I rounded off the corners to make a circle. Then I just started cutting in a spiral. And then once you get to the middle, you're just going to cut out that small circle and you'll have a little swirl. I placed the pieces where I thought they would look the best, and I'm just gonna take some glue and glue it on. Once it's covered in glue, I'm just going to just stick it on like this. I'm gonna do that for everything else on here. Then we just let this dry. Now we're gonna make the keychain holder. So take some felt, cut out like, I think this is about maybe 2.5 centimeters, and just snip out a rectangle. This is gonna look a lot thicker than this tab here, but that's because we're gonna stretch it out as tight as it can be so that this doesn't become loose when you're using it. And then cut off these frayed ends because we won't be needing those. Then what I like to do is reinforce this with glue. You don't have to do both sides, just one side's okay. And this will just give it some extra strength. Then set this aside to dry. The design should be pretty dry now, but we're going to set it aside to work with the middle piece and one back piece. The card in this layer should stick out a little bit at the top, so what I did was draw a line across the bottom. This way, when we place the card in, it's staying here and not all the way down here. We're going to start sewing now, so stick your needle into the side right here, pull all of the thread through, and then we're going to secure it by tying a knot. Just a regular knot. Next, go ahead and straight stitch across this line that you drew. So weave your needle in and out, and then pull all of that thread through, and keep doing that until you get to the other side. It should look something like this. You should be able to put your card in here, and it should sit at the level that you wanted it to be at. I forgot to hit record for this part, but all I did was straight stitch up to the top. We're going to start doing a blanket stitch now. To start a blanket stitch, I'm going to insert my needle into the felt, pull all of that through, and then once this little loop forms, we're going to make sure that it's going across the top of this felt piece, like this. Then you're going to insert your needle through that little loop that you just made to start off the blanket stitch. For the next blanket stitch, insert your needle into the front of the felt, pull that thread through, leave a little loop, and then insert your needle through that loop to grab the thread and then pull it tight. It creates this border across the top. So just keep doing that, going through the front. And if you want a shortcut, you can just stick your needle through and then go straight through this loop here. That way you don't have to stick your needle through too many things. And then just tighten. And keep doing that all the way down. If you need extra help with the blanket stitch, I will link a video in the description. I'm realizing while I'm editing that some of my footage isn't completely centered, but I hope you guys can still figure out what's going on. Once you've blanket stitched all the way across, you're going to put your back piece on the back, and then take your little tab and put some kind of key ring on it. This is just a flower bead frame, and I'm going to put it in here, fold it over, and slide it right under, in between the two back pieces. So it's kind of aligned with this white piece, but it's between the two back pieces. Put this front piece on top and make sure everything's lined up at the bottom. I'm just gonna clip it like this, and then straight stitch across to attach the tab. Oops, I did that wrong. Okay, after we straight stitch there, we're gonna blanket stitch across here, go up, down, around, up, and then this way, and then blanket stitch the back piece, and then we'll be back in this corner and everything will have a blanket stitch. First, we're gonna blanket stitch this front layer. Just blanket stitch all the way across. Once you've made it across the front, remember we're going to straight stitch up and then blanket stitch all the way down. So I'm going to do that really quick. The reason we're doing the straight stitch is to just get to that top corner, and then after we're there, we're going to be able to do a blanket stitch from the top corner all the way down to the bottom corner. And then we're going to blanket stitch all along here. Make sure you're doing these blanket stitches evenly, so keep poking your needle in the same distance, and make sure you tighten it quite a bit because you want your cards to be really snug in here. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to this corner and show you how I do the corner. For the corner, I'm just sticking my needle in right here and doing a blanket stitch on this side again, like so. And then for the next one, I'm going to stick my needle into the same spot, but this time we're going to try to make the stitch wrap around this side. So we have to move it a bit, like so. And then stick our needle through and try to get it to wrap around the top, like that, so it creates a little square. And then you just blanket stitch across the top and do the same thing in this corner, and I'll meet you there. Once you get to doing this side, I like to place my cards in there and then make sure I'm stitching as close to the card as I can. So basically use your card as a reference on where to insert your needle, and also remember to be pulling your stitches really tight. You just keep going down until you get to the key ring holder, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Once you're back here, we're going to straight stitch across to the top and then continue blanket stitching in this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and straight stitch through all these layers. Once you're at this other side, we're going to continue blanket stitching. It ends in the back for me, so I'm going to go around to the front in this same area and pull the needle through, and then with this loop I'm going to put my needle through, and that starts my blanket stitch. Then insert your needle into this corner and do a blanket stitch on the short side, and then remember for the corner we're also going to insert the needle into the same stitch. pull it through, but this time try to get the blanket stitch to wrap around the top. At this point, we have to start blanket stitching this front spot and then the back. So just pull these two apart and blanket stitch the front first. I'm going to go straight across and meet you there. I made it to the end of the first row. My stitches are a lot tighter when I'm working off camera. I guess I get a little rushed when I'm on camera. But once you get to this little corner bit, you're going to stick your needle through both layers of the back cash holder and just do a final blanket stitch. Then you're going to turn your work around and blanket stitch only across that back layer. While we're blanket stitching, I just wanted to say, take a break, get some water, adjust your posture, because I know my neck was really hurting at this point. I filmed this video all in one go, which wasn't the best idea, so don't be like me. Go take care of yourself. Oh, and also, if you haven't commented already, let me know what design you ended up making for your wallet. Right now, I'm just finishing up my last stitch through only the back layer, doing a blanket stitch, and then we're going to do a blanket stitch through both layers of fabric. And then I'm going to put my needle through this loop of the blanket stitch and tie a little knot by going through the loop that I just created. And then to hide my seams, I'm just going to stick my needle through all of these little loops until I get to a good stopping point. Pull it through and then just snip off right here. And then you're done. Good job, guys. I know it turned out really cute and all, but before you start wearing it out, make sure you put some cards in there and just shake it around. Make sure it's super secure because I don't want you guys to lose your cards. Also, be aware that felt can stretch over time, so just be gentle with this. But yeah, that's the whole video. Thanks for watching and bye.